guys, welcome back. So if it looks like I'm in the same top and same makeup and same hairstyle as the last video, I am, because I ain't got time to keep doing different makeup styles. That takes ages. I ain't got time. I'm lazy. So I'm recording it in the same day. It's easier for me. Anyway, let's get into the video. So today it's another Let's Not Meet. You know, if you've been watching, you should know by now I am obsessed with this subreddit and I love reading the stories. Love making videos out of them. It's my new hobby. So today we've got 3 stories, and the first one is my dog warned me that someone was behind me. First start off, I live in a little city in Storie with my roommate who happens to be my cousin. During this coronavirus pandemic, however, I've been staying with my parents who live in a very small town in Mocha. Because of my time in Storie, I really do not like staying in Mocha and would rather live back to my apartment. The reason why I haven't done it is because my parents might think I might get very lonely there since everything is closed down and my roommate is not there, as he's also with his parents. However, since I had to go back for a specific reason, my parents wanted me to take their dog, Mocha. Oh, that's such a cute dog name. My dog's called Loki. He doesn't live with me, so I can't show you, but he's still my dog. Got him when I was 16, but when I moved out of my sister's, I couldn't take him with me. He's had their child. But if I turn this, he's up there. I'll have to show you him one day. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. So I won't feel as lonely staying there. I loved her, so I didn't mind one. Mocha is a small, punchy dog that loves to play around me and is usually by my side for most of the time. She also loves to go on runs with me, so I occasionally do take her on jogs. On Wednesday night, I decided to go running with her. Whenever I go on any runs, I go at night because that's the time I'm most energetic. And all the times I went running at night, I never had any type of encounters or occurrences. I put Mocha on the leash and off we went. About 20 minutes into our run, I was running through this creek where there was a park next to it and a bunch of trees surrounding it. Houses on the other side. The trail was pretty narrow and the street lamps were pretty dim, but still bright enough to see up ahead. As I'm running with music playing, my leash was tugged by Mocha. This usually happens when she wants to go to the bathroom. So I stopped to let her do her thing, but when I turned around, she was in her alert stand, looking straight behind where I had just ran. I just assumed that she heard a squirrel or any small animal, as she usually does when she sees one. I was tugging her leash, telling her, "Let's go, there's nothing there." It's me with my dog, and I'm like, "There's nothing there. Why are you there? Move." And he's just there, like, sniffing the grass. She didn't oblige at first. She just kept looking behind us. It took me about 4 to 5 tugs before she finally came to me. I resumed playing my music and we both went off running. I was almost out of the creek and then I would then meet a narrow sidewalk that was straight ahead. The trail only had to take a short turn. Probably a minute or 2 later, after Mocha tugged the leash again and went on her alert stance behind us, she did an aggressive bark, started growling. I stopped and was looking all around behind us. I was kind of freaked out because the trail had a couple turns and curves. This meant that something was most likely following us. My first guess was a lost dog, which was unsettling because Mocha is tiny. If there was a big dog, it can easily overpower her. As I was looking around the dim area, for a split second I had got a black humanoid figure about 15 yards away from me, right behind a bush next to a tree. I immediately turned my eyes to the opposite direction, pretending that I didn't see him, but boy was my heart pounding. I didn't see any figures or face. I just saw the outline of his upper body. I didn't have any weapons on me as self-defense. If this guy's following me, my best solution is to run off without him trying to catch me. I tried to act cool and told Mocha, "Let's go." The trail was going to end. I just had to make a turn and it would be a straight sidewalk that was about 300 to 400 yards. There are fences on both sides of the sidewalk, so the only solution was to keep running forward. I went as a jog right as I turned the corner. I made sure that I was out of view from the person. I went on a full-on sprint as quietly as I can. The sidewalk was ahead of me, so I made sure just to keep running. I kept looking behind me to see if I was really being followed. Being about 70 yards away, I saw a person come to view from the turn, then sprinted as fast as he could towards. As if I wasn't sprinting, I sprinted as fast as I could. I never sprinted so fast in my life. Looking back, I am amazed on how fast I ran. Mocha was keeping up with me about 100 yards of me sprinting, and I looked. The fucking guy was still running behind me. He had a dark hoodie on, sweatpants, and appeared to be 6 foot tall. He was still in the same distance that I noticed him, which means that he was pretty fast as well. The sidewalk was going to end at about 100 yards and it would lead to a neighbourhood. I can lose him there. I was slowly getting out of breath. My adrenaline was beginning to die down. I kept sprinting, hoping I wouldn't get tired too quickly. 100 yards of me sprinting. I finally made it to the neighbourhood, out of breath. The neighbourhood was pretty broad, so if I was to keep running, the person would have spotted me straight away away, and at the place he was running it didn't seem like a good idea. My best solution was to hide. I went straight to a random house and jumped over their backyard, where I would keep hidden behind the fence. I basically threw Mocha over and myself. We were both panting, but I tried to keep as quiet as I heard footsteps coming by. The guy had finished the trail and was now in the neighbourhood. He stopped running and I heard him panting. I was hearing him mutter as he was out of breath. He kept saying, "Fuck. What the fuck?" I was holding Mocha, scratching her so she wouldn't bark or growl. About 5 minutes later, I heard footsteps walking away, then slowly fading. I waited about 10 minutes in complete silence, sure he wasn't close by. I peeked my head around the fence and I was all alone now. I got Mocha and went to the opposite direction from where I heard the guy go. Even though I was tired, I tried jog just so I could get home sooner. I kept looking around me. I was very paranoid that the guy would be there somewhere. I made it back home with no problem, and I've got to thank Mocha for pretty much telling me that someone was behind stalking us. I don't know how long he was following us for or what he was planning on doing. I just hope he didn't get a clear glimpse of my face because I don't want to run up to him again. We don't deserve dogs. We really don't. But yeah, dogs are so good to us. So yeah, be careful when walking at night, or if you can help it, don't walk at night. The next story is a night walk. That's funny because like I've lined these up, but like I've literally just found these stories, so I haven't read them yet, and I forgot that it says a night walk, so I'm like, don't walk in the dark. And then the next story, a night walk. I am female, almost 38 years old, and I would like to tell you about an experience that I had with my dog at the time. English is not my mother language, so I apologise in advance for any mistakes. It's been about 11 years. It was autumn and night, and I decided to take a little walk around our housing estate with my dog Sunny. Sunny is a black and big Labrador hybrid. She's really good and cuddly, but she hates other female dogs. She also has a strong protective instinct and always snarls when she doesn't know or something isn't right. There was no street lights inside the settlement. The only lighting was always the house entrances. There was a small park with small playgrounds between the rows of houses. But as already mentioned, everything was in complete darkness. That's why Sunny was not to be seen, only to be heard, and now and then when she was chasing a rabbit into the bushes. Then it goes without saying that she wasn't on the leash. I only need this when other female dogs are nearby. Sunny listens to my word and always comes when I call her. So while I strolled comfortably through the dark settlement and froze my ass, Sunny ran happily through the area and the bushes. I only guessed where she was because I could not see her. I only heard from time to time. At some point I noticed a small shadow that was whizzing around me. When I looked more closely, I could see Sunny. She ran in large circles around me and the place where I was and thought she was chasing something. The circles she drew grew smaller and smaller. She didn't make any noise and went on. She didn't make any noise and I went on comfortably because I thought she was having her 5 minutes. That's how it is said when someone is a little bit crazy. At some point I didn't see her anymore, but I went on knowing she would follow. Then I heard a sound of footsteps, but they weren't my own. I startled because they were so close behind me suddenly, so I turned around but couldn't see anything thanks to the darkness. I got nervous and called for Sunny because it could be somebody with a dog. Sunny didn't come and I easily panicked. She suddenly stood in front of me out of nowhere and began to growl as violently as she has ever done before. My blood froze because it couldn't be a good thing. And then she started walking straight ahead, growling about 2 or 3 meters. Stopped at that moment, I recognised a figure, completely in black. This person was shocked in front of Sunny and didn't move, and Sunny started barking like there was no tomorrow. The person slowly walked backwards towards the lighted house entrances, and then I saw Sunny, bare teeth in front of a young man, wearing a hooded sweater, and probably started to experience some fears as I did when I noticed him, because as close he had sneaked up on me, he couldn't have had anything good in mind. Since it was too dark, however, he couldn't see Sunny and she must have surprised him at the right moment. Sunny started to jump out at that moment of the guy let out a scream and you could hear something falling from his hand on the floor. He ran and my dog followed. After I'd realised myself from the shock stiffness, I called out to Sunny as loud as I could, until after a short time she was standing in front of me again, wagging her tail. I took her on her leash and went back to where the guy had dropped something, and indeed there was an arm-thick branch on the floor that he certainly didn't have with him to throw sticks. At home it gradually dawned on me that my Sunny did not have her 5 minutes when she circled me, but I had just long since noticed and kept an eye on this piece of shit to protect me. On one hand, that was creepy, but also a relief. I was and still am so grateful for this dog, Sunny. Well done, Sunny! Again, we don't deserve dogs. They are so good to us. The third and final story is only a short one, but it's called followed me through the park. This happened to me around 3 years ago. I was 19 years at the time, living in a different country of mine, and I was coming back to my house with my friends. It was 2 a.m, I think. To get to my home, I had to go through a park which is barely illuminated, and it's beside the river. And I was walking by. I started to hear right behind me 2 people's steps. I saw the shadows on the floor, so I started to go a bit faster. At the end of the park, it was even more darker, so I wanted to pass it as soon as possible and get to the big avenue, thinking I was being a bit paranoid. If you ever feel paranoid or you have a gut feeling, always go with it. Then I started to hear the steps closer and closer. One of the guys who were following me passed me by, and once he did, he turned around, looked at me and made me a hand gesture, like he was trying to say something, maybe to me, maybe to the other guy who was still behind me. At this time, I started to think that I wasn't being that paranoid. So I pulled out my phone and called the friend who I was with before. My phone had 3% and I was panicking. I didn't want to call the police as they could hear me doing it. So I said to my friend to do it. I am not from that country, so I couldn't speak in my language and they wouldn't understand what I was requesting to her. There were one walking in front of me and the other behind me. My phone died and I was more and more nervous while I was finally getting to the avenue. Still, nobody was in the street. Just a few crackers, but I felt safer in the light. The one that was in front of me started to get into every single street at our right, wait for me to pass by, and they're coming from behind to pass me again and continue with the weird following where I was locked between these 2 men. I was about 2 minutes away from my house and I didn't know if I wanted them to know where I lived, but once I got to my street I started running and getting in really quick. I get to my bedroom, it had a window where I could see the street from it, and I saw them talking and walking back to the park. I then called the police and gave them a description of them. I don't know what they wanted to do, if they were just scaring me for fun or what, but it was completely terrible and scaring, to be honest. So to these horrible 2 men, let's not meet again. By the way, English isn't my first language, so I apologise if anything is not clear. So those were the 3 Let's Not Meet stories today. It seemed today's theme in stories were people being followed. So do be safe out there. Do be careful. Try not to walk in the dark. Try and make sure your phone's charged. Try and walk with a friend. Try and get a lift home, like a ride home. Thank you so much for watching. If you do like these sort of videos, hit the subscribe button. I'm making as many as I can until I have to go back to work, and then the uploads will start to get less frequent. But yeah, leave a like if you like these sort of stories. If you have any of your own stories you would like to share with me, leave it in the comments. If you don't want to leave it in the comments, just comment that you have a story and I'll contact you and you can email it over to me. And then I can make it and feature it in my next video. Again, thank you so much for watching and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!